Hello, dear friends. Welcome to another program here at Kardec Radio, where we are talking about the Spiritist magazine, this beautiful, most enlightening publication from the International Spiritist Council every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and on demand whenever you want to watch this on Facebook or YouTube. You can find us. And this is a great opportunity for you and I to discuss one of the articles of the Spiritist magazine. And by no means, this is a short program. There are many, many, many resources after 12 years of publication in English, 51, 51 issues. There's just so much that you and I can, 52 issues. I was just checking the latest issues number 52. Soon there will be another release of the new issue of the Spiritist magazine every 3 months. The good spirits inspire the editors, the graphic designers, the authors, and the writers to put this beautiful publication together. So remember, you can always go to spiritistmagazine.org. In other videos, I go into detail on how to access the Spiritist magazine, but on this website, you'll be able to download the app for your phone, for your tablets. You'll be able to download the PDF version of the Spiritist magazine, and you'll be able to just read, even order a physical copy of the magazine. You can use the magazine for your own consolation, for your studies, for your gospel at home. And many times, just like this article here, these content is only going to be it's going to be published first time in English at the Spiritist magazine. So there is a much blessed and needed resource for you and I to share the good news of the Christ with everyone around us. And today's article is titled Mental Concentration. And this article was written in the 1980s, 1984, by the Spirit, Andre Luiz, through the mediumship of Francisco Candido Xavier. As much as we are blessed and honored to be with you, we are also deeply grateful to the good spirits that grant us with the opportunity of having this beautiful, most enlightening, superior quality teachings for you and I. And we thank from the bottom of our hearts Sandra Luiz and Francisco Candido Xavier for them to bring us these teachings. There is no words to convey our gratitude to them, so wherever they are in the spiritual realm, we hope that they can join us so we can better understand what they meant. This is from a book called the Candido de Luiz by several spirits, and this also has a parallel study on Kardec Radio, in which is a book aimed at workers of the Spiritist group for them to better realize their potential and guide their activities in the Spiritist Center. This issue is dedicated to the mission of the Spiritist Center. It's a beautiful chapter. The title of this article is called Mental Concentration. And we chose to do this today, use this example, because who does not need to have mental concentration as we go about our days? In the beginning of this chapter, this article, I'm going to bring some aspect for our discussion. Andrea Luiz will discuss that sometimes when we are going about our activities at the Spiritist Center, the circles of faith, appealing to the help of Christ, we put ourselves in a posture of external silence, but yet we have inner shouting, inner turmoil. How many times do we find ourselves looking calm, looking okay, but mentally we are going through these torments in our minds and our thoughts. So it was very fitting for us to talk about mental concentration, even though the the teachings were aimed at Spiritist workers. We can apply it to our daily lives, whichever way we find it, in our homes, in our workplaces, while interacting with the world out there, who does not need to have some mental concentration in order to go about our days, correct? So he's saying here, companions of the ideal concentrate with flawless exterior silence, sustaining an inadequate inner shout. So people are trying to do the work. They look like they're calm, yet they're shouting inside. However, we must ask ourselves what resources we are putting together. And he will say a little bit in the middle of the chapter, it's imperative to remember that it's up to us to revisit in such attitude the results of our daily lives, the little prizes acquired in the regeneration of ourselves, and the vibrations that is spreading along our path. So this is why we chose this. We need to talk about we are a reflection of everything that we do, everything we think, everything we feel, the ideas that we have, and ultimately the actions we have in this world, because we're co-creators with God, as Andrea Luiz is going to bring to us in the book Evolution in Two Worlds. So when we are trying to do the works of the good, it's always important to understand that we bring with us the result of every little activity that we're doing in our daily lives. Then he will offer 10 reminders. He says here, this is why we unpretentiously offer our companions some reminders in which we consider of importance in guaranteeing our spiritual concentrations. And that's why, what are those reminders that you and I can use in our daily lives in order to achieve this mental concentration that is so important for the works of the good? We're going to see it in a minute. He will say, outside the sanctuary of your faith, do not forget the respectable approach that is assigned to you within it. So everywhere we go, we act with respectable approach towards everything and everyone. The way we see ourselves in our sanctuary of faith, be it a Spiritist center, church, spiritualist group, a different kind of denomination, the same reverence we have in the temple, we need to approach everything and everyone with the same respect and kindness. And when we go to a Spiritist center, just because it's not a church, we also have to understand that when we are doing the works of the good, we need to be respectable. We need to respect the presence and venerate the presence of the good spirits. We need to speak appropriately, dress appropriately. We cannot just drop in like we're going to hang out on a barbecue with friends or going to the beach. We need to have that reverence to the places of faith and have an attitude where you and I are respecting the presence of the superior spirits, because ultimately it's work in both realms. The physical incarnate beings that we are, this incarnation that we are experiencing, we are doing the works of the good, and the good spirits are always with us. We start on time, we end on time, we behave appropriately, we're kind. But also when we don't reserve that respectable a way of being only for inside the Spiritist center or the place of faith. We bring with us that to our daily lives. He will say, keep your ears against the tubas of calumny or slander, knowing that you must listen to the construction of the good. So no slandering, no talk bad about people. If we go to Spiritist center, we are poised and respecting, and we dress well, and we behave, and we all suddenly start speaking softly and kindly. We cannot get out of our works of faith and keeping our eyes out for people talking bad about another person. And we also should guard our mouth and our words, not be the ones uttering words of slander. So we must listen to the construction of the good, even if you are involved in a conversation that is less elevated. Because let's be honest, when someone is talking bad about another person that is not very elevated, then we need to seek to say something that will help the construction of the good. Visualize that person as a child of God, as you and I are. And we wouldn't like people to talk about us in that manner, so we shouldn't be talking or even listening others talk about that in that manner to others, right? Number 3, do not lend your word to unworthy words, so that the suggestions of the higher sphere find your mouth clean. Do not speak badly about anyone, even if you're just sharing something that is annoying about a person who we know, who lives with us, our family members and friends. It says, do not lend yourself to unworthy words. Remember, when you're speaking, in the sphere of the word is another article we already read that talks about this. When you're speaking, there is vibration, there is tone of voice, there is volume, there is emotion. So if you just put your hand right around your throat where your vocal cords are, because the air is passing through, that's how you form words. There is vibration, there is things you can embed on those words. So we should not be speaking negative things about anybody, including ourselves. No humble brag, not putting ourselves down so that we can hear people praise us, not minimizing our contribution, but not also thinking that we're better than everybody else. Remember, when we are here talking to you about this, we are carriers, we're messengers. All of the hosts are messengers. All of the mediums are messengers. We may admire folks, but we shouldn't idolize them. Not just because they're saying things, it means that they're better than anybody else. So we need to really wait for the suggestions of the higher sphere so our mouth is clean. Those are hard things to do. Otherwise, the spirits wouldn't be bringing it to us. It is possible because we know a lot of people out there who only speak the good and who not allow other people to speak badly. So we combine listening. When we listen to things, we search for the construction of the good. What is good in that person that I'm listening negative things about? And when I speak, I need to be coherent. I cannot be looking for negative things in people's speech to commiserate with, to add to. We also need to speak in a way that is coherent with looking for that construction of the good. So when the good spirits come to us, they will find us a good vessel where we can transmit their message. Even if you're not mediums, we're still ostensive mediums. We're still transmitting their message in terms of they can come to us, inspire us to do the good, to serve, to donate, to volunteer, so on and so forth. He will say, do not fixate your eyes onto the faults of others, understanding that you have been called to see in order to assist others. So when we see things, we don't look for the speck on our brother's eyes. Because if we're allowed to see the blessing of vision in a world that is not yet designed for those with disabilities, if we're allowed to see things, we need to fixate our eyes not on the faults of others, but in their goodness. So combining the hearing, the ears, the mouth, the eyes, those are the senses from which you and I perceive the world. The same way we're allowed to hear and listen to things, we need to listen for the construction of the good. We need to speak in a manner that the higher spheres will find our mouths clean, speak goodness, And then when we see things, we don't look for the defective. We don't focus on what's negative. We don't focus what's missing. We focus on what's been created for the good. Of course, we need to call on to evil so that can be corrected, but we can also do that with kindness. So don't fixate your eyes on the faults of others. You say, fulfill your everyday duty, however unpleasant or embarrassing it may be, recognizing that education does not arise without discipline. Even if we don't like what we're doing, imagine if we were doing a job that is not as pleasant in the eyes of the physical existence of the incarnate being. We need to have discipline. We still need to do the things, fulfill our everyday duties in a manner in which we're serving. We're serving. How can I serve you more? Let's give an example from our times. We might all agree that cleaning toilets is not a pleasant activity, right? However, if you are in the position that you're getting into people's homes and ultimately cleaning the rooms, which include cleaning bathrooms, you can still do it in a manner that fulfills your duty. You can visualize the good spirits using your hands, not only to remove the physical dirt, but also the spiritual fluids that accumulate that are not negative. You can pray while not think about dinner, about your problems, not talking on the phone and complaining about your family to another person. It shouldn't be just mechanical. But then you can infuse goodness in your words. You can visualize the good spirits coming and help you clean. You can pray for the people who live in their homes. You can bless their homes. See how you can fulfill your duty and still transform something that might end up not being positive or pleasant, but it's needed to be done. So you can do that in a manner that you're recognizing that right now in this world, this is the duty I have to fulfill, then I will have the discipline to do so. Learn to find time to live with good books, improving your own knowledge. Friends, good books, good YouTube, good podcasts, good TV, Netflix, streaming services in general. We cannot, in a sense, waste our time in content that is not elevated. Because when you watch something that has to do with slander, with negativity, with murder, with gossip, and there's a lot of that out there for you to spend hours and hours binge watching, you are lowering your vibration. Your brain is interiorizing those images and you're living that experience, and that is going to be stored in a spiritual memory. Now you are tuning with the spirits who like to be on that lower level vibration. So we need to find time to live with good books. The series under Luiz is perfect because not only it's very easy to read, it has so many details and examples of people who did things while incarnated they regret. Example, under Luiz, when he's describing the book No Solar, his experience in Non Solar, where he describes, I drank, then I got a liver disease. I had extramarital affairs, I got syphilis. You don't have to drink and become an alcoholic to go for the experience of being the lower zones, to know that that's what's going to be out there if you choose to engage in that activity. You can learn from those examples as case studies, typical of healthcare and medicine. We discuss cares. We discuss cases that are rare. We don't need necessarily to see a patient that has the disease. We publish it so that other people can learn from that case next time they see something, they have more information. Improving your knowledge, that ultimately is all you're going to take from this life. Your moral improvement, the things you learned, the goodness you created in the world, the debts you acquired, the things you repaid, none of the physical is going to go anywhere. So living with good content is imperative these days. It's imperative that you curate your and I say you, I'm including myself, we curate, and we create our feeds in a manner we're not those grooming, looking for what's wrong in the world, but we are praising those who are trying anonymously to improve the lives of everyone. So it's imperative that when you're watching your TV, your Netflix, your streaming device, because there's a million of them now, your YouTube channels, in the future, whatever kind of service and ways we consume media, it's imperative that we think, we apply the teachings in our daily lives. Who is here with me right now? Would my mentor be inspiring me to watch who's going to get the next rose, who's going to be kicked out of the island, who got murdered by who's gossiping in the housewives or whatever? No. The mentors would be saying to you, look at your child, look at your spouse, look at your friend, call someone who is in need. Do you have extra clothes? Go donate. Do you have a place you can volunteer once it's safe to do so with the appropriate health measures? That's what they're doing. Look at the books of Andre Luiz. The mentors are always serving, always reading good books, always watching good lectures. There's so much more content these days. So let's learn to find time to live with good books. And if you know of a good book, if you know of a good content, put it down in the comments for others too. What kind of good books have you found time to live with these days? What about if we all described what is it's going to be hard. The idea that came to mind is, what is your favorite Andre Luiz books from his Life in the Spiritual World series? There's 16 books. So write down in your comments which one do you like the most and why. I'll share mine in the end. That happens to be, I like Missionaries of the Light. Is the one of the books that I've learned the most with. A lot of good examples about how Spiritists and Spiritist centers, the work behind the scenes. It's so beautiful to see the spiritual aid missions that come. Not only we can receive help, we can also be on the spiritual missions if we are tuned with the goodness. So let's use our time wisely. Do not indulge in anger or discouragement, in lightness or in unhappy desires, so that your soul does not become a note out of tune in the harmonious whole of prayer. Do not get angry. Do not be discouraged. Are we living hard times? Yes. However, it shall pass. Is it difficult? Yes. Is it difficult for you and I? Yes. Yet, Christ is in charge of the world, so we cannot be discouraged. This temporary existence of ours in an incarnate manner with the physical body shall also pass, and we cannot indulge in anger. If someone is posting something, doing something that you don't agree with, you need to be in tune with the harmonious actions of prayer. Because when we pray, the good spirits can help us. We cannot be indulging in our unhappy desires, thinking about things that are not attuned with the higher vibrations of life. Right? No anger. Walk in a climate of optimism and goodwill towards all, from those who are still entrenched in lack of goodness, ignorance, or evil, whose actions are completely misaligned with God's laws, to those who we admire and believe their actions are completely aligned with God's laws, which on the earth there aren't many examples because we're still a world of trials and expiations, but we do have missionaries each and every day. We can look towards and say, I would like to be like that person. You know someone who in your life who is full of optimism and goodwill towards all. Always remember, don't listen to the negative, don't speak the negative, and don't look for the fault. Use your eyes to look for the fault of others. Walk this optimism. I'm not talking Pollyanna, everything's going to be good. I don't really know. You observe what's going on around you, you reason, you listen to the experts, you read the good books, and you say, this is temporary. But I see in that person, even though he's hurting or she's hurting people, or they've hurt me, I still see in them the child of God with the potential to be a superior spirit, because that's what God sees in us. God sees us as the potential that we are. You have inside of you the gene, the DNA of divinity. Living Spring by Emmanuel, message 30, educate. When you have that seed of the divine inside of you, you have the potential to be divine. But it's not overnight. Nothing is overnight. Look at nature. Slowly the plants and animals go through cycles, the seasons go by, and it's all gradual. We don't wake up one day, it's -10 and it's winter. It's gradual, it's gradual. So this climate of optimism and goodwill towards all would allow us visualize yourself as one piece of the whole. You are one of the 7.5 billion incarnate beings, plus all the discarnate friends who live and are still attached to the earth. Imagine all the many, many spirits and the spiritual colonies around the earth. So if you are one, your vibrational attunement with the good spirits, your thoughts, which is mental matter that travels throughout the universe, your emotions, your attitudes, all of it can impact the people positively around you. So walk in the climate of optimism and goodwill, because remember, when you do all of these, that will reflect in our daily lives, but it will also reflect when we are together as a group trying to work towards the goal of spreading the good news of Jesus everywhere in our circles of faith. So when we are there, we'll have inner peace, not only outer silence, but also inner silence with the mental concentration needed toward the attunement of the group members, which ultimately means we're going to be better attuned with the mentors of the group so they can guide us towards doing what's best for that group. In the book Messengers by Luiz, Luiz describes that each Spiritist group, be it a center, established center, or a group of studies, have their own mission in that city, that state, that country, because the needs of that group are different from the needs of the next group. So when we are in attunement, when we are watching how we go about our days, we can bring inner silence as well as just in external silence to better do the work. Do not hang your imagination on the gray hanger of complaint, and do not visualize the evil of anyone. Do not say, oh, yeah, that person's negative. Yeah, that person never does anything wrong. I don't ever do anything wrong. Because some people visualize the evil in themselves. They visualize the negative in themselves. So we do not complain. We have way more. The grace of God is so good that we have way more than we ever could ask for. And we have all the resources that we need in order to fulfill the mission that God has given us in this lifetime. You have the resources. It's up to you and I to open our minds and hearts to receive that inspiration from the good spirit, so we can visualize the goodness and not the evil, and not their defects, not their faults on anyone. Visualize everybody as a child of God. If you have to, visualize them as a baby, because it's very easy to love a baby because they're cute and beautiful, designed for us to take care of them. I learned that from a representative from the Congress, Representative Luiz, who fought for civil rights. And when they were being beaten, way back in the 60s and 70s, they would use this technique. Even if the people are coming to beat you because you're trying to register people to vote, visualize them as a child that removes your inner, because they are doing non-violent protests, non-violent actions. Visualize them as a child, and it'll be easier for you to take in, but not visualize them is evil. We are all much better than the worst we've ever done. I'm quoting a lawyer now. We're much better than the worst we've ever done because we cannot be defined by our errors. We need to attune for our mistakes, but we need to visualize the goodness in ourselves and everyone all the time. Last but not least, he says, cultivate constant and selfless assistance to others. Do the good, serve. It is in the forgetting of the self that you'll be able to concentrate your mental energies on prayer. And thus your thought will rise victorious to serve in the name of God. Ultimately, dear friends, we are all on this earth to love one another. Go to the book After Death by Leon Denis, chapter 49, Love. You're going to see that love is the glue that keeps us all together. God, love radiates from God all over the universe. So selfless and constant, meaning all the time. Selfless, meaning you're not thinking of yourself, you're looking for others. Do you want to volunteer with your group? Call the place and ask them, what do you need? Our group would like to volunteer. What do you need? Do you need food? Do you need food prep? Do you need companionship? Do you need someone to do arts? What do they need? It's about them, not us. That's selflessness. Forgetting of the self to concentrate our mental energies on prayer so that when we are serving in a group, spiritual treatment at distance, mediumistic meetings, spiritist talks, passes, we are able to not be looking silent, but be inner silent. Mental concentration. We need to stop thinking about myself, my things, my family, my job, and see yourself as a part of the whole. Because giving up a few hours of your month to volunteer as your core value as a group, as yourself if you're alone or if you're family, we are family who serve. There's no better way to teach than when you are out there fulfilling the needs of someone and teaching yourself and your loved ones. It may be hard for us, but there are harder things to go through. We are ones who will be there serving and fulfilling the needs of the physical needs, emotional needs, psychological needs of others. And as a spiritist, you are also filling the spiritual needs of others because which what other place on the earth we can have these obsession meetings, the mediumistic meetings that ultimately brought to us these beautiful teachings of Andrea Luiz through the mediumship of Francisco Candido Xavier in the book, still yet to be in English, but there is a playlist on Kardec Radio you can listen to, Educandário de Luz. Dear friends, it's always an honor and it's always a blessing to be with you. And I hope that I can be with you again next week, every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We start the discussion because I hope that you can not only continue the discussion on your own mind, reflecting about this comments that Andrea Luiz made about having mental concentration when you're trying to do the good works in your sanctuary of faith. We start the comments right down below from the Spiritists when we're talking about spending time with good books. Tell us what is your favorite book in the series of Andrea Luiz and why, and then maybe we can inspire one another to read those books again and again and again. There are a few of them who already have been discussed and studied at length at Kardec Radio, so you can go there and find those playlists. And until I can meet you again next week on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I hope that you have a blessed day, a blessed night, a blessed week. God willing, I'll be back. Until then, stay safe, stay well. See you soon.